Happiness depends upon ourselves. Happiness is the meaning and the purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence. Happiness is an activity of the soul in accordance with virtue. The ultimate value of life depends upon awareness and the power of contemplation rather than upon mere survival. Happiness is the highest good. Happiness is the reward of virtue. The happy life is regarded as a life in conformity with virtue. The wise man does not expose himself needlessly to danger, since there are few things for which he cares sufficiently, but he is willing, in great crises, to give even his life, knowing that under certain conditions it is not worth preserving. To be happy takes a complete lifetime, for one swallow does not make a summer, nor does one fine day, and similarly one day or a brief period of happiness does not make a man supremely blessed and happy. Happiness is a kind of prosperity, but it is only attainable by living a virtuous life. Pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit. The aim of art is to represent not the outward appearance of things, but their inward significance. Happiness is a state of activity. The least initial deviation from the truth is multiplied later 1,000-fold. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know. The more knowledge you have, the more you understand your ignorance. The roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet. It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. It is the nature of desire not to be satisfied, and most men live only for the gratification of it. The energy of the mind is the essence of life. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit. Happiness is a state of activity. Happiness is the settling of the soul into its most appropriate spot. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. The virtue of justice consists in moderation, as regulated by wisdom. It is not enough to win a war, it is more important to organize the peace. The high-minded man must care more for the truth than for what people think. Fear is pain arising from the anticipation of evil. The educated differ from the uneducated as much as the living from the dead. Doubt is the beginning of wisdom. Happiness is a state of activity. It is during our darkest moments that we must focus to see the light. For the things we have to learn before we can do them, we learn by doing them. Man is a goal-seeking animal. His life only has meaning if he is reaching out and striving for his goals. We give up leisure in order that we may have leisure, just as we go to war in order that we may have peace. We make war that we may live in peace. Learning is not child's play, we cannot learn without pain. We must be neither cowardly nor rash, but courageous. To be conscious that we are perceiving or thinking is to be conscious of our own existence. In all things of nature, there is something of the marvelous. The soul never thinks without a picture. A friend to all is a friend to none. We must be neither cowardly nor rash, but courageous. Pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. The educated differ from the uneducated as much as the living from the dead. Happiness is the best and noblest thing that human beings can attain. It is not always the same thing to be a good man and a good citizen. Excellence is an art won by training and habituation. We do not act rightly because we have virtue or excellence, but we rather have those because we have acted rightly. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit. To run away from trouble is a form of cowardice, and, while it is true that the suicide braves death, he does it not for some noble object but to escape some ill.